Hey guys, it's Tim Miller from the Bulwark. I'm here with my buddy Sam Stein and Marc Caputo. We just watched Donald Trump's press conference at Bedminster. He doesn't leave his house these days. Sam just told me it was 90 minutes. I find that very hard to believe. It felt much longer than that to me, but it was very long. 48, I think, to 50-something minutes of rambling before he took a single question, followed by a series of questions on some of them, some pretty, I don't know who he's calling on there, but some softballs, let's say, from conservative media world. But Mark, what would you think?
Wait. You think a question, why did God save your life, is softball?
No, I think that was a question from MSNBC, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, do you? Okay,
back off.
What about the one about how credit card debt is such a problem in the Biden years? And is there something that you could do to deal with that? Another hard-hitting cue there from the gallery. Mark, you were not there. What were your observations, just in the context of the reporting you've been doing about how, they're trying to really laser focus him on some messaging? How'd you think he scored on that front today?
Well, I think they know they can't laser focus him. They're trying to focus him more, and charitably, it's a work in progress. What you did see from the policy event I had a little thing in my, for the policy event he had the other day on the economy, is he at least was sticking to a script for a period of time, talking about economy-related things, but then sort of veering off. And this is just sort of more of the same. That said, I do read his body language. He does seem happier than he did last week.
You think so? Okay, talk to me about that.
I'm just saying relative to how he was last week. Last week, he seemed really pissed off. And now he's got personal envoy Corey Lewandowski coming back.
Yeah.
So this is the big news. Let's start there. The big announcement was he brought into the campaign, and Mark, I'm going to editorialize a little bit if that's okay for you. Corey Lewandowski is a man I have a long experience with. He has very bad breath. He hip checked me once in a spin room. He has been. There's a police report about his efforts to engage in sexual assault. That police report indicated that when he was flirting with the woman, he bragged about stabbing people to death. So I don't know if Donald Trump has brought in somebody that is a murderer or just likes to pretend like he is to get chicks. To each their own on that front. But Corey now is in, I guess, layering. Is he layering the existing campaign organization? Donald Trump called him during the press conference a personal envoy. So maybe Mark, you can tell us, what does that mean? What's a personal envoy look like?
My best guess reading that, and based on the reporting I've been doing over the weeks, is that he's sort of a personal envoy between the campaign and the candidate. As they try to get him more on message, and as they want him to kind of be a little sharper, as I wrote in my story this week, is there are ways to deliver Donald Trump information and there are ways not to. And certain people are experts at it and certain people aren't. And Lewandowski is among those who's an expert. I did quote someone in there anonymously talking about how it'd be good to get people on the plane with him, people he can bro out with. One of those people is Corey Lewandowski.
Sam, nobody you'd rather bro out with than somebody who just likes to talk about stabbing people. Somebody gets a little too loose.
I don't know.
Somebody gets a little too loose and handsy with ladies on the plane. You can really do some locker room talk.
He's not talking policy,
Yeah, you can talk about governors you might have had liaisons with, may or may not have. Sam, what do you think? Was this a good move to bring in stabby eyes Corey Lewandowski?
Tim's working through some things, but Corey has a history. I'll grant you that. I would not bro out with Corey. There's plenty of other people.
He's not the top of your bro out list?
I'm not top of my list. I have others. Okay. I feel like this does. I accept Mark's read of the situation. I think Trump is in, but I don't accept his read of the body language. I read the body language as someone who's a little sad and like a little bit like upset. Now maybe he had a good round of golf this morning and he's at his club and so he's more relaxed. But I wouldn't go with. I wouldn't say he's panicked, but I think this move is probably from a place of concern. That things aren't going particularly well, and I think he's like, they asked him, I think during the press conference, like. Like, should you be so angry or something? Like, should you be less like mean to Kamala Harris? And he's like, I'm angry. He's like, I'm entitled to attack her personally. Like, he's like,
they're trying to jail me.
Yeah, he's like clearly like not happy, but he's never been a particularly happy person.
But I mean, you're an astute political analyst. I just generally speaking, when the big news of a press conference is that you've brought in a personal envoy to bro out with, and that personal envoy is somebody that's been fired twice already and brought back around. Is that generally a sign of strength? Of
no,
momentum?
I mean, and also just like if you saw the press conference, he had a whole couple tables of grocery items, and there were signs about how much they'd increased in cost. And that was the idea here. It was like this was going to be about the grocery items and how inflation is a problem, which is obviously a winning issue for them. And I think the most he went through it, but like the most memorable thing was that he admitted he hadn't seen a box of Cheerios in many years, and that was just like that, like. The inability to stay, or to not even stay a message, just to like sort of like focus closely towards the message, continues to haunt, I think.
What's the cereal of choice in the Stein house?
Oh, actually, he had it back there, and it was driving me nuts. I'm a big Honey Bunches of Oats guy, and he had.
I think there was also a box of Froot Loops, by the way.
I'm not a fan. Too sugary.
You like Froot Loops?
I
saw on Instagram that the
when I was
flavoring
13,
in Froot Loops, the coloring in Froot Loops are not legal in other countries that they are here. By the way, it's my favorite piece of Instagram.
That's why we're the greatest country.
I guess he's not eating the Cheerios because he has that full breakfast at Mar-a-Lago. You got to have the eggs, you got to have the bacon. Right. You got to have a full breakfast. All right, Mark. So this, I agree with Sam. Who cares whether he's mad or sad or whatever? He's clearly aggrieved. He's clearly still upset about the attention that Kamala is getting. I made some notes here. This is certainly not a complete list of all of the attacks on Kamala. People don't know her last name. He talked about that again. The Time magazine cover, that she was too pretty on that. He talked about that again. He mentioned that she complains too much, which is, I mean, interesting thing that's something that Donald Trump will be worried about. He said that she has a very strong communist lean and also is way beyond socialism, and he's upset that she called him weird. So
I just want to say, he pointed out, he started the entire thing. This is the preamble, not the press conference. His first words out of his mouth was, "She has destroyed the world." Like you can't up it. Yeah, at that point,
she destroyed the world. Very strong communist lean, way beyond socialism. So, Mark, where are they trying to land here? It does feel like they're flailing a little bit.
Well, you're asking where Donald Trump wants to land.
Where's he trying to land on this hit on Kamala? And he doesn't have a nickname yet. He's hitting her.
I have absolutely no idea. I don't think anyone does.
Yeah.
This is just Donald Trump saying what he wants to say. At the beginning of the press conference, I thought it was also notable that for like the second time in a row, he said, "People have told me I should have been easier on Joe Biden because it chased him out of the race, and what a mistake that was."
Yeah.
And what's interesting is that kind of sort of Lady Macbeth-like sodium pentothal quality that he has, where he's like, yes, he has a reputation, and deservedly so, for lying a lot and saying things that aren't true, but he also says things that are just very revealing.
Right.
And that's one of those, like, he is just so bothered.
Well, there was another revealing part there too. And I think this answers your question about what he was trying to do here, Tim. Is I don't have the verbatim quote, but he was like basically said, "I need to define her," right? Like I think at one point he's like, "What I need to do is I need to define her as a communist," or like something. Right. And I thought that was actually kind of revealing because it just to a degree gives you window.
She gave him a layup today. I mean, yes, this is intellectual stuff and it only goes so far, but she's talking about price controls on food. And he rightfully said Maduro in Venezuela, but then there was no like follow-up.
Dude, he took one sentence to talk about that. He says that Maduro, Venezuela, and then I was watching it. Nice. Then he went to fracking. And then from there he went to criminal justice reform.
This was important. He had a brief stop. And price controls, that sounds good. If that worked, I'd be for that. But it doesn't work. And then Maduro, and then fracking. So it's just
and then criminal justice reform, then jobs, then something about being in the Oval Office and people, worshiping him. Anyways, back to the point I'm trying to make is I think he was revealing in that sense that he looks at this as like, okay, he's just got to like throw it's not about improving his image or like moderating his tone.
No.
He was very dismissive of Nikki Haley, and we can get to that later. It's really for him, like what JVL was saying, it's like he just wants to tar her like as much as humanly possible, and he wants to do it quickly. He's going to throw everything at her, see what sticks, and hopefully he views her as not defined until he can define her. And that's, I think, what he's trying to do.
Nothing's taken so far. Just one more thing on the Mark thing. Just because you could go through a decade of my oeuvre. It's very challenging to find a even an iota of empathy for Donald Trump, and so I'm going to offer it here. You do just. I mean, he deserves it. Nobody deserves it more than him. But I do, just as a human, gotta look at him and be like, he's gotta be like, why did I do that fucking debate? there is a human connection of just like, you can understand why he's wrapped around the axle on this. He's like, I didn't have to do it. I didn't do primary debates. I could have just said no, and I'd still be with Biden. So you could see why
it's like when you take a wrong turn with your car and crash it or something.
Yeah. Like why did I do that?
Well, yeah. Why did I take a right?
I just had taken a right. Okay, I have one of his big lies that I really want to hit on before we close. But are there any of the things that I missed just as like actual campaign insights or anything else you saw that?
None, just the same as before, that it's still with him. It's not just what he says, it's the fact that he's saying it. The media is the message. I'm here taking questions. I'm talking.
And CNN covered 30 minutes of it before, and then took a break, and then went back to the question.
Trump folks are going to claim a W off of that. Yeah. You know, I'm not saying it is, but that's where they are.
Sam, any other strategic insights?
No, I mean, it's so tough because like we grade on such a curve. Like at one point he's like, maybe I'll be friendly with Iran, and that's like exactly what he's. He's been accusing Biden of being too friendly with Iran, but he's like, yeah, maybe I will. He went after San Francisco for being great 15 years ago, but not today. Like. Kamala Harris is the DA of San Francisco 15 years ago. Like these are the things that
and Newsom was the mayor.
Yeah. And Newsom was the mayor. And these are the types of things that you would be sort of like, if any other candidate said them, you'd be like, oh man, what a mess up. But this was in such an avalanche of Trumpisms that we kind of are like, oh yeah, that's him. So.
Yeah, well, I'm not going to grade him on a curve on this one because it's been bugging me like the last 3 times that we did this. But in this avalanche of nonsense, it's hard to pull out everything. But he does. Yeah. He keeps doing this thing on Hillary that I have to call attention to, which is he retells a story from 2016, which is just as a strategic matter. This is a loser. Kamala, we're not going back, is much better than let's revisit the 2016 election. But he's revisiting it, and in his telling, his fans yell, "Lock her up." He wasn't really part of that. That's not true. And then in his telling, he wins. And he gets in there, and many people around him are like, we should lock her up. And he, with his great, concern for other people's interests, and just with his wisdom and generosity and of human spirit, says, it would be bad for the country if a former first lady was jailed. And we wouldn't want that as our country to have a former first lady in jail. And so I said, no, we're not going to do this. We're not going to jail her. Even though she deserved it, she should have been in there. She should have been in there forever. We're not going to do it. And now I regret it. So like he's just created this whole false fabrication. It's like premised on him being the head of Belarus. It's like in America, It's like a prosecutor would have had to charge her, Gord Comey would have had to charge her, and then a grand jury would have had to approve the charges, and then another jury would have to convict. It's not like Donald Trump could just be like, Rikers! Or no Rikers. That is how he retells the story every time. And it does foreshadow something darker, right?
And they've been pretty open about this. They're gonna make politically motivated prosecutorial decisions, if they get back in. Yeah.
It also foreshadows, I think, Mark, I don't know what you think, that is somewhere in his little brain, it's like, they shouldn't do this to me, right? It's like, I'm telling this story because it's like, they shouldn't do it to me, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's still pissed off and bitter about it. Remember, his sentencing, or the potential sentencing, is coming up in
September
New York.
18th, he mentioned.
Correct. I assume that's going to get delayed. Why would a judge do it ahead of time? But who knows?
Yeah.
There are reports, and I don't think that they're accurate. In fact, I'm pretty much 100% assured that they're not accurate, that because he's a felon now, he was not allowed to cast his ballot that he recently voted in Florida. Turns out that's not true under the Florida scheme,
that's not true.
Paradigm that's been accepted. He can vote because New York lets him vote, and he was convicted in New York. But there's all this stuff swirling around him, and he's pissed off about it.
All right, we gotta let Mark go so we can give a much more sober analysis.
We got to think about what is our next. We can't do this every press conference. We got to come up with a new formulation for this.
I think he's going to start doing it in battleground states. I think he'll start.
The 3 of us, you mean, like bro down time? It's like, Corey's bro hour.
I'm hurt now. I thought I was getting the hang of this thing.
I don't know, man. It's a lot to sit through these 90-minute sessions.
You don't want to do the work.
Yeah,
Maybe,
correct.
Maybe the right way to do it next time is that we get a little daiquiri and we
I
just
would
sort
do
of
that.
live do it. We do it live. And
I would do that. That's
I
how
think
I
more
would
like
do it.
Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah,
back
if we're
in the
gonna
day.
have to watch it.
That's what we should do. We watch it live with drinks, and then we interject.
Give us feedback in the
I'll get
comments.
in trouble for that.
Yeah, Mark will get in trouble. We could bring Mark on at the end, though. So me and Sam are a little drunk, and then Mark comes on and is like, "Hey guys, all right."
Oh, no, and then we like build something into it. Like if he talks about
I've been
birds
watching
getting
you, and I
killed,
think
we
you
gotta
made some
drink.
good
Yeah.
points here, but you might have overstated it after you took that last shot. Anyway, give us your thoughts in the comments. Marc Caputo, Sam Stein. Subscribe to the feed. We'll be catching you all soon. Peace.